Hello, everybody. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today, January 13th, Tuesday. We normally come live every 4 p.m. Pacific time. Today we're starting a little bit late at 5 p.m. But thank you for always going to join and ask your questions about U.S. immigration law for general educational purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance. So we're setting things up right now. I'm going to change the microphone. You'll hear me change. It might sound a little more, radio style from that one. But we're here live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to take your questions as we've done for the last, I think, 5 years or more now, 2026. Wow. And, try to help you get a better understanding of what's going on in this wild immigration system that's so confusing. It affects so many people. And there's just so much, fortunately or unfortunately, going on in the world that people really need this movement of people. It's always a part of humanity. It's like love and death and war and peace. Immigration is part of the DNA of humanity, so our role becomes very important here to help you better understand what's going on, particularly with regard to U.S. immigration. And we take kind of some other questions too about other things if you like, but we'll see. Depends on what the question is. So as we're setting up, feel free to start launching your questions wherever you're watching this about U.S. immigration law. Preferably, it's my expertise. Our firm focuses on marriage green card cases, people with extraordinary ability, and small investors creating a subsidiary in the U.S., like an L1 visa intercompany transfer is called, or E2 investor visas, starting a small business. That's what we're here for, regular people doing regular, normal things, just better their lives, not some big corporations trying to do 1,000 people. That's not what we're here for, individuals. So if you want to contact us and schedule a private consultation, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. Again, that's jqqlaw.com/contact. And you should look into our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. It's a guide, 70 plus pages, going over the A through Z of the fiancé visa, marriage green card process. A lot going on there. To download that, please go to this website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. You can download that Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. And then for, citizenship naturalization, we have a new guide called the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide. And you can download that at, let me see, excuse me, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. That's jqqlaw.com/citizenship to get that. Sorry, a lot of things that I look at. For those watching live, I'm bobbing moving my head, trying to catch the different things going on in our system. So we have a first question. Jody asked, for Canadian citizen to get a green card via marriage, how long is the process? Well, it depends on if you're married with a U.S. citizen or married to a green card holder. Let's assume you're married to a citizen. Now, if you are a Canadian citizen, you might be a dual citizen somewhere else. So that could be a problem. For example, if you are from Iran, although it's an exception to Alabama, if you're getting your green card through the embassy, there could be delays there. So that throws it on the loop. If you're inside the United States, those are paused right now if you're born in Iran, but you're Canadian. There's a lot of Iranian Canadians, so this comes up a lot. But barring those, let's say you're just born a citizen of Canada and you don't have any criminal history and your relationship has all these documents. If you're outside in Canada, probably going to take about 12 to 14 months for them to believe a relationship is real. For a marriage green card, not a fiance, a marriage to a U.S. citizen, Form I-130 petition package. And then once that's approved, probably another 4 to 12 months to get an embassy interview and an approved. Wide variance. It's getting better at the embassy. It's getting faster, but they're really backed up. But easily looking at a year and a half processing. They're hopefully faster, potentially longer. Now, if you're inside the United States, I'm getting these cases, just got one done in 3 months. So it's gone really fast in the U.S., but you need additional requirements satisfied to be able to do the case in the United States. We can't recommend it for a lot of people. We have a question from Nate Hagan. Canada isn't even a real country. Big 51st day. It's just more of a comment, not a question from Nate. Okay, thank you, Nate. All right, let's keep going with the questions. Feel free to shoot them out. Jody said, I'm an only Canadian citizen. Okay. So probably a year and a half if you're outside, and the sooner you start, the better. We really focus on those kind of cases. In fact, the last, I think, 8 marriage green card cases we've signed up in the last 45 days, all have been Canadian. So I can't say expertise, not allowed to say that as a lawyer, but our real focus, the numbers of cases that we do are a lot is marriage with Canadians. There's nuanced issues. We have a lot of videos on YouTube. Jody Sanjera, I would recommend. I've recorded 2 or 3 recent ones on Canadian marriage cases, particular issues to watch out for, like your birth certificate, how to get a police certificate from there, all that kind of stuff. Really check it out. It'll be really helpful. Assad says, what kind of question will USCIS ask in a green card interview based on asylum granted? For a green card interview, historically, we wouldn't even do an interview, but they're going to go through a lot of questions for inadmissibility, primarily to make sure I haven't done any crimes or things like that. But before they wouldn't, but maybe nowadays they will go into your asylum case and analyze whether they think it was real or not. But a lot of background admissibility questions. Make sure you have any dangerous issues, you have any police issues, you have you part of military before, things like that probably be asked, and really case specific. Evan, one of our regulars now says, if you get a 212F, does that mean that the case is closed, or once the ban is gone, they'll ask you to come back for a new interview? That's yet to be seen how that's going to play out. So when Biden came around last time, these are all executive orders, so it depends on whatever the president wants to do. So it's no real clear answer to that, in my opinion. Monter says, another regular. Hello, Big Boss. Good to see you. The president has authority to suspend entry. Another 212F questions. Back to back. Suspend entry under 212F, but does not have the authority to pause adjudication inside the U.S. This pause is illegal and needs to be taken down. Hopefully, we'll see. The Supreme Court seems to side with the president, whatever they do. So, there is a lawsuit. We have clients who joined a lawsuit, a group lawsuit against this issue. And, we got to see how the courts handle it. It's a very political issue. But hopefully they'll strike it as illegal. But there's national security involved, and that's always a thing, so we don't really know. But hopefully it ends up better for people, just, married couples, people working here, to be able to finish their process up. Our Shadow Baby says, I-751 shows ETA of 18 months, but is it possible to receive sooner? My temporary green card took 6 months. Do not rely on any of the timelines that USCIS gives you as to how long these could take. I have I-751 cases done in 5 months. I have them done in 2.5 years. More towards the 2.5 year side. But is it possible? Yeah, but it's very random how long these things take. Detroit Lions asked if I was filed for I-130 before December 2nd ban, is my case frozen? I'm married Iranian. So all the cases are paused right now or on ban mode, essentially, but they're paused right now, regardless if it was if it's submitting now or if it was submitted. It's very troublesome thing that's going on in Iran, so we don't really know. It's going to be difficult to have your spouse even more delays than there was at first. Assad says, so it's not about the case itself. It is about the case, about the previous cases, about everything. They're just going to look over everything. Plus, if you recently got asylum, Assad, they're going to look over your asylum case in the Trump administration's new memo, where they're going to reanalyze all the asylum cases that were approved in the last 5 years. So it's a lot of bad stuff going on. Khalil says, can I travel domestically with my real ID and foreign passport waiting for my pending green card? I don't recommend traveling if you don't have an underlying status. If you don't have an F1 that's active, H1B or something like that, I do not recommend traveling domestically right now with the way they're handling things. Dahlia asks, hello, for an IR1 spouse, Cairo, it's a marriage immigrant to a citizen. Is it okay for me to be in the same country where my spouse does the interview? You could be visiting there, but you shouldn't be living there because that's going to undermine your domicile requirement. But you could travel and visit. That's not a big deal. Only in 3 says, do you recommend buying domestically on DACA if you have a squeaky clean record? Do you recommend, I'm thinking flying domestically on DACA? This is recommendation, not the law, but no, things are pretty crazy right now. People getting shot, it's kind of wild. So I can't say just stay at home, don't go out because you got to live your life, but it's a personal decision you got to make. So my recommendation is conservative, don't do anything, but that's not realistic. You got to live your life. So it's going to inevitably be a personal decision if you want to take these kind of risks on. Assad says, it's not the case that we're going to answer your question, Assad. Okay. So feel free to shout out your question you have or clarification that you need any of this stuff. With the way the administration is handling everything, it's hard to get advice. Like before, 6 months ago, a year ago, they told them a lot of stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. They're not going to pursue it. But right now, with as wild and aggressive as they've gone, as you've seen in the news, and it's just going to get worse with $100 billion extra money that ICE is getting to enforce immigration laws. It's a whole new ballgame in 2026. Whatever we saw in 2025, which was insanity, 10x that's going to be what's happening in 2026, unfortunately. So that's why if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you don't need to travel, it's not really urgent. Big money on the line. A family member having big issues, don't bother. Now, if you're a green card holder, I wouldn't be. It's hard to say. Some people, lawyers, say don't travel. But if you don't have a green card case approved yet, it's pending, or if you don't have status, DACA is not status, I would say don't rock the boat. Shadowman says Renee got put on ice. I think that's a terrible thing that you're saying there. Okay. Lekuv something says, I wish to start my citizenship application. Do I need to get a lawyer with it to help me? Well, that's up to you. If you think you like to hire an attorney? I would at the very least, anyone who's thinking about citizenship, first of all, download my free guide. Go to jqqlaw.com. Lekun Zevil. I got a long YouTube name. I'm trying to be polite, but it's long. But to go to jqqlaw.com/citizenship and read that. But at the very least, schedule a consultation really with 3 to 5 lawyers always. And some lawyers will just say what the price is and go. But the real goal is for the lawyer to sit with you and talk for half an hour. They go through all your history of your life, where you're born, how you when you traveled to the United States, what kind of activities you've been involved in, how you got your green card in the first place, about any arrest history, about any tax issues. Just go through all these kind of stuff, just talking with you to try to find any potential red flags, trips you've had, absences, to find every single red flag that's potentially possible. And then they'll say, what I tell clients, I say, okay, so, I didn't catch anything based on our conversation. Sometimes when we start the case, I start seeing documents or spending more time with clients. Other information comes that we couldn't get out here. And then, that might be helpful. Plus, it gives you peace of mind having a lawyer with you. But other than that, it really is important. Just have that a deep review with talking wise at the very least, because really quickly, many times you can find 9 out of 10 times you can spot issues that exist in that meeting. 1 out of 10 times you gotta go deep into it, maybe less than 1 out of 10 times. But that's what I'd recommend doing. Schedule a consultation with us. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact, and from there we can schedule. There's fees associated with it, but we'll tell you what that is when you reach out. And then from there, afterwards, you talk with some more people, and then you could decide who you want to work with, if you want to work with somebody. But that'll give you a better understanding once you've really talked about what's going on in your life and what the situation is, because things will be changed so much. Sarah Milk says, "Hey John, you're welcome." Lekunzevilhida. Sorry. Sarah Milk says, "Hey John, how long after the I-130 filing acceptance would I lock my CISPA? I'm having hiccups finding a suitable sponsor." So the I-130 itself, when it's pending, you can't really lock it there. It depends. If you're a U.S. citizen filing for like a child, then by filing the I-130 before they're 21, it's already locked in. But if it's a preference category case, you have to wait for the I-130 to be approved and the case to be current. Within 1 year of being current, you have to act on it, which is primarily by paying the fee or submitting a Form I-485, a I-64, Form DS-260, and more likely if you're doing consular processing, the dependent, the young person overseas is by paying their visa fee, and that should lock it in, and just communicate with them every year, once a year. So that's what you really got to do to lock it in. It's not too bad. But Sarah, a scheduled private consultation. That once people have these problems, so I've had other lawyers give bad advice because not every lawyer handles or deals with the Child Status Protection Act. The Child Status Protection Act is when you start a green card case for somebody as a minor, and then they age out. They go over 21, they follow that case. There's an exception to the regulations that pass a statute called the Child Status Protection Act, CSPA for short, or CISPA as everyone calls it. But it's very technical how to do the calculations. And what I found is many immigration lawyers don't even deal with it too often, so they really mess up on the calculation and how to advise on it. So I would just say schedule consultation so we can at least have that in order, because that's a disaster if problems come with that. And many times people have problems, they don't save the right document, contact the right person, it becomes a mess. So if you'd like to schedule a consultation, go to jqqlaw.com/contact. Dahlia follows up, do you help the MBC stage for IR1 just to review the documents before interview? We could send a preparation session for that. The thing is, when people want us to review documents, we got to sit deeper and collect documents with you, talk with you, and spend hours on it. So whatever I do during the review session is very basic. It's not going to be real complete. But at the very least, we could talk and identify 1 or 2 issues which usually come up that people aren't prepared for. And it's things you wouldn't expect about like how to contact them, register, some weird stuff you wouldn't expect. It just makes it, you'll figure it out eventually, but it'll save you a lot of time and headache. But we could do a session like that, but the review is going to be really nominal to the extent that we can, especially if you've already passed the National Visa Center stage. NBC stage for I-1 just to review. So you said 2 different things before interview. So getting the National Visa stage submit is one thing, the interview is another. We don't if you want me to review documents for NBC, we won't do that because we're not on the case. Essentially, I'll be prepared if I do that. But if you already submitted it and you got your interview scheduled, we can have an interview prep session for that. But we don't review documents for the NBC stage without actually doing the whole case. Al says many DV LPR got their M400 interviews and ceremonies canceled, even though they aren't in the banned front country list. Is there a hold on DV LPR in general? I haven't heard that situation happening. Actually, it's the first time. Actually, someone posted a comment on this. That might have been yourself, one of my videos or TikToks. But I haven't seen that be the case. Green card lottery winners who had interviews being canceled. But that may be the case. I haven't heard of it. Hopefully, it's wrong or something like that. Sarah says, thanks. I'll probably schedule one soon. You're welcome. Dahlia, yes, interview prep. So if you have an interview scheduled, yes, we can set up a time for that. And if you're in Egypt, one note is I remember one case where they wanted you to get a record from like this Egyptian record that you haven't been married before or how many marriages you had. It's like a separate document that's different from other countries. But yeah, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. We can schedule like probably needs a 35 to 40, probably needs a 45-minute or 30-minute to 1 hour consultation. And we can set that up and do a prep session and take it from there. But jqqlaw.com/contact is the place to go for that. Detroit Lions asks, hi, I've heard that they are using the immigration process to weed out the illegals to get their numbers up. This is helping with times going faster. Yet to be seen. They probably are trying to get their numbers up by detaining people, but with this kind of things faster, I haven't seen. I haven't seen any change to stuff's happening. Just messing people's lives up. Sonata says green card shows delivered, but I didn't receive it. USPS declared a loss. I submitted a non-delivery of the card. You also need to file an I-90 or wait for inquiry results first. Well, if USPS says it's lost, ask USCIS, call them up and say what happened, and if you avoid the I-90. Or if you have proof of it, maybe submit I-90 without a fee, but it's going to be a hot mess trying to fix that up, unfortunately. User 90 says, hi, I have a shoplifting 25 years ago and I have a green card more than 20 years. Can I travel? So I'd be hesitant to travel. Shoplifting is a bad crime for immigration, it's theft. And first you got to see, did you list it on the green card? Did you pass all the inadmissibility issues? If yes, and was clean, stuff like that. If you do travel, you may still get sucked into secondary inspection. They have to discuss it. So before any of this, I'd recommend having a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information request, getting a copy of your entire file from USCIS, doing a FBI background check and also a background check from your state that you're arrested in. Have the records, particularly the conviction record or any court records and police records related to the event, and review them with us as a consultation, and have a prep so when they take you to secondary, which is most likely to happen when you come back into the United States, you have an easy explanation for everything. Wales says, sir, I missed my asylum interview 2025. USCIS, now my application was closed. What should I do? Well, you probably were sent to immigration court. You should go to the EOIR website. This is immigration court, Executive Office of Immigration Review, EOIR, and type in your alien number and your country or of birth or passport. I can't remember what they call it, but and see if you have an immigration court case that you were scheduled and you probably missed too. So it's really important you stay on top of that. Make sure your address is updated, because if you missed your interview, I mean, potentially, I don't do asylum law, so I don't, I'm limited how much I can advise on this. See if they can reopen it. If not, you're going to have to go to immigration court and fight it out, but you could be detained while that's happening. Jack says, how long are K-1 visas taking? I've been waiting for 10 months. Can you expedite K-1? Well, Jax, what part of the visa process? Are you talking about the I-129F? Are you talking about the interview with the embassy? Which part of the K-1 process are you saying is slow? Icelander says, I worked unauthorized for 7 hours and got a W-2. Can I file taxes jointly with my husband? I can't answer questions about taxes and stuff like that. I'm not an accountant. But people without authorized employment do file. But who knows? Do you have a social security number? Did you use a fake social security number? That's all. If you file, the government's going to come after you because the IRS is going to be sharing data with USCIS and ICE enforcement. Did you falsely claim to be a U.S. citizen? That could get you deported. So it's a much more complex issue than that. I wish for those 7 hours probably wasn't worth it. Nick says, are CITES cases getting deferred action after this recent legislation? I don't handle special immigrant juvenile cases, so I don't want to advise something I just don't deal with on a day-to-day basis. Flamore says, my parents are on the schedule for an interview. Is that good for them? Yeah, I guess their case moving forward, I guess. Itunu says, please, does Nigeria-related issue affect OPT? Not yet. It affects immigrant and non-immigrant visas, but it's not supposed to affect OPT. I don't think they're on the list like Iran is, but I don't know. This administration changes stuff on us, does stuff without telling us, so it's very hard to say what's going to happen. But I would just go along right now as if, everything is as it was. USCIS, Iran, pause, substantion, the State Department memo. I don't think Nigeria is on the list like Iran and Yemen and countries like that. But let me do a Control F. See, Iran comes here, Afghan, So I'm not looking at the entire list. I don't think Nigeria just got immigrant visa ban, which is terrible because they're going to be stuck, not be able to get green cards. But I don't think they were on the list of people that are going to get OPT, like I-765 work permits paused. But who knows? Again, who knows? Ahmedola says, I have an F400 case and want to ask. We'll ask a general question here. If I can't answer, please schedule a consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact. Jelly Cup says, LPR filed for adjustment of spouse F1 LPR not currently working. So dad filled I-864A. Does your dad live with you? I'd prefer not submitting I-64A That form is very confusing because it's very rarely used, and that causes issues with the government. It's just I-64 regular is probably better. Monter says, side note, this MAGA wave has descended on us because the Biden administration allowed abuse to the immigration system. The southern border, EB2 NIW, day one CBT, other BS. Sorry for ranting. Yeah, that's a big problem. Biden didn't need to do the stuff at the border, and all it does was cause people get angry for no reason. So it just created more havoc. Okay, Jelly Cup says got an RFE. Can you help? So I would say, our Jelly Cups, please schedule a consultation, talk about the RFE as soon as possible. Jack says, can attorney help you expedite case? Maybe if you have a good reason for expedite. It's very difficult to expedite nowadays. They're very strict on that, but it really depends on the case and what you're doing and stuff like that. Ice Cube says, after green card via C8, travel back for a day for an emergency. Is it a good apply N400? I'm guessing you're saying you're a asylum to travel back to your home country for one day. It's up. I don't know. They probably will be stricter on this. They happen historically, but it's up to you how much risk you want to take on. Ahmed says, I'm from Mauritania, partial ban. You think my case is frozen? Probably. I don't remember. I think Mauritania was on the list, but I don't memorize all the countries on there because it's the countries I deal with. Nigeria, Iran, maybe Yemen. These are the countries I typically deal with. So I remember. So I think Mauritania was on a full ban, but I can't remember exactly. Shlogo says, I have an active deportation order and have a pending case with VAWA. My biometric appointment is on Friday. Can I be arrested on biometrics when I stay with my VAWA case? I can't give you assurances. I'm sorry, X-Logo, but it's possible I detain you. It has some cases, especially if you have a deportation order. So there are some risks exist. Maybe have an immigration attorney go with you to the biometrics. Typically immigration lawyers don't go to the biometrics appointments, but under the chaos nowadays, it's hard to say. It says partial ban. So I would need to review the ban and stuff like that to see if it's pars. But it depends on what kind of case you have, what you're looking for. Sarah says the consultation on the website is 30 minutes up to 1 hour, correct? It's 30 minutes only for a majority of cases. If there's a unique situation, like someone here was asking about a practice session for the interview, for those we make it an hour. I have to make a special manually do that, but everything else is half an hour. Evan says, for IR5 interview scheduled for Jan 2022 for Rwanda Nationals, do you recommend to 10 interview reschedule the appointment if the person is not considered in the minority group? I don't have a recommendation on that. I'm not sure how they're going to deal with that, so I don't have any recommendations. All my existing cases right now for Rwandans having either gone to interview or we've paused it at the NBC stage. So I don't have. I'm going to see what's happening with other people first if I make any recommendations. Some people have said they just denied the case, sent it back. Some people have said they just paused it. I'm getting mixed information on that. As such, I can't provide anything. It says, how much is your consultation? Please, we don't talk about fees and costs and stuff on this show. Go to jqqlaw.com/consult and briefly describe your case or issue, and then we can take it from there. Erica, how long does it take to get asylum approved? It varies. It could be 3 months, it could be 10 years. Africa says, hello, please, can you please throw light on the Section 212F? There's nothing much to do with the government. The president could stop immigration based on that regulation. There's going to be lawsuits on it, but essentially when it comes to giving visas, he easily does it. Whether he can do that in the United States is a different matter. We'll see what happens with upcoming lawsuits, but that's it. The president has powers in the immigration area. Carlos says, hello, can I apply for adjustment of status with expired I-94 that are received through military parole in place? Well, it depends on what kind of adjustment of status you're going to be doing, Carlos. Is it going to be based on marriage to U.S. citizen? Then probably yes. But, even though it's expired, I think it's fixed. I can't remember exactly because for military parole in place, we always file the adjustment of status while the I-94 is still valid. I can't remember the exact rules on that. You probably can, but again, it depends on what's the basis of the adjustment. But I need to double check on that. So I don't advise on something that I haven't dealt with because, again, we every time I filed adjustment of status on a military parole in place, they had the I-94 valid, so it wasn't an issue. So now my YouTube screen, it shows it's not working. Hopefully you heard that. Some of my sponsor with assets are being accepted by the current administration. Right now, today, yes. I don't know. Tomorrow, they're going to be. Technically, it's according to law, they could, but I'm not sure how they're going to deal with stuff tomorrow. But today, yes. Remote says, I got my I-765 approved. Would you recommend traveling domestically? No, I-765 doesn't give any status. So depending on what your underlying status is, yes or no. But that itself doesn't do anything. Ituna says, can you please answer me? Ituna, I already answered you. Nigeria affect OPT? I said I don't think so, but I haven't. I have to read the section, so I doubt it, but I don't have an exact answer because I haven't read the memo. I need to read the memo again to see if Nigeria is affected by that. When you go online and look in Nigeria, even the Customs and Border Protection website has incorrect information about Nigeria, what visas can and can't be issued. So the way they put out the information in different ways in different areas, and it's not consistent, and they don't give notifications. So it's a hot mess the way they're doing stuff. Ben says, Carla Paris, my military son. I have to see. So, Carla, like, if your son's a military, he's going to file for a parent of a U.S. citizen, then I'd want to renew the I-94 just to have it, but probably you can. But I have to look into it. I don't remember exact rules on that because I never had I-94 expire for military parole in place. So I don't want to say something I'm not 100% sure of. Ben says F1 from Iran is a student visa for Iran. OPT cap gap ends on April 1st. H1B is pending due to USCIS freeze. Can I stay in the country while my H1B is pending after April 1st? You can stay in the country while it's pending. Whether you can work is another matter because usually cap gap goes to October of the same time. I'm not sure if you could keep working past October because at that time things are already approved. So you could stay in the United States while it's pending your period of authorized stay, but the government is probably going to send you an RFE saying they want to kick you out unless you prove like your documents are real, and you can still get picked up by ICE because at this point, because you're out of status most likely. So it's a really difficult situation to be in. Someone says consultation with you personally. Yes, we do a video consultation. You can talk to my associate too, but typically most of the consultations are video consultations with me. The cases will be handled by my senior associate, but I do the consultations for most cases. Detroit Lion says, thank you for taking your personal time to answer my questions tonight. Back to work for me, but God bless you us all. Good night, everybody. Good night. Well, I'm in for another 4 minutes, but good night to you. Iman says, if my cap ends from a banned country, am I legal here? Technically, you're out of status or legal when your underlying status ends, but you're in a period of authorized stay, which used to mean they won't bother you, but in Trump administration, they can't. It's a mess. Number 2, our Happy Face says, hi, I'm waiting for my NOA2 for fiancé visa Pakistan. When you talk to immigration lawyers, don't use this terminology, NOA, and notice of action. I said, just tell me, are you waiting for like your I-129F to be approved or your visa interview to come? We use regular language. We don't use like code language for immigration lawyers. Katarina says, hello, sir. There's a new law in place for green card holders with the pending criminal charges. There's no new law per se. It's just they're going to be more strict. So on discretion. So it depends on what your green card is, what the crime was. It's all these factors. It's too general for me to answer. Slogo says, have you had anyone arrested about biometrics and active order? I haven't, but I don't take on cases where someone has a deportation history. So I'm not a good person to ask about that. But I've seen other lawyers here and there say they have 2 or 3 cases where they had that happen. Jellycup says, RFE says sponsor not eligible. Send qualified sponsor proof. We'll find the ISIS for data joint. Fix it. Probably did ISIS for age. Have to show your father's living with you. That's not a good way to go about it. But I would need to review your case, what's going on, Jellycup. So I don't really want to give individual guidance here. I got to see why there was ineligible. I got to see what you submitted, what the sponsor's proof is. And sometimes the government makes mistakes on these too. So that does happen. King of Hearts says, my I-485 got rejected, but received biometrics appointment. Should I go for it? I reapplied again. I would go for it, I guess, to go for it. I don't know. I got to see why it was rejected. I'm not sure what's going on. You can always call USCIS to confirm that you go to that one. I stick with that. I haven't reviewed your case, so that's a touchy thing. I don't want to tell you what to do when a case I haven't submitted. It's confusing. Issues happen that aren't typical, so I got to be careful what I say here. Equa says, I'm an LPR green card holder at Global Entry. Am I safe to travel internationally? I don't know your background to be able to say if you're safe or not. I don't know anything about you. Just having global entry doesn't mean anything for my immigration law purposes. Jacob says, side note, yes, Dad also LPR lives with petitioner. Okay, so we technically can use the ISIS for PA, but I was saying, like, Jacob, ISIS for A is so seldomly used that you don't want to use something with officers don't experience it because they're going to mess it up. Just use a regular I-64. Same thing with some people who submit the I-6 for easy. I just go for a straight up a full I-64 to avoid these kind of issues. And then when it comes to using assets, it's very difficult. People don't understand how to use assets. They don't send the documents needed. And you have to explain it to the government because they're not used to seeing assets used either. Ice Cube says consultation. I'm not sure what the question is. Happy face shows a sad face. Sorry about that. Where are you answering the question from? I don't know what you're saying. All right, so we got another minute left, so we'll answer questions here. Just post them. Remote says, sorry, I meant my I-131 approved. Would you recommend trying to? No, I-131 doesn't give you status either. Tana says, my husband wants to adjust to status as we cannot return to his country. I'm an American with dual citizen child. Okay, what's the question? Lisa says, I want cancellation removal. Still waiting for my grant letter. It's almost 3 years. Can I be At least I don't handle cancellation removal cases, so I don't want to advise on that. Tana says he's on ESTA. How much of a chance will be taken away? I can't give you chances. It's just the government could do that if you're in San Diego potentially. But we get cases like that approved all the time. But it's a risk. There's no chances. It might happen. It's not high chance right now. But the thing is, administration just has new policies they'll go on a whim and do overnight. That'll change things, or they'll add enforcement, all this kind of stuff. So there's no real way to answer your question. You just there's a risk there. You just got to know that, and it's 50-50. Either happens or doesn't happen. You got to analyze whether it's worth it or not. Adit says my husband has a green card for 2 years and doesn't want him to get a green card for 10 years. I don't want him to get a green card for 10 years. Well, it's out of your control. You have to apply for it and do that. Lisa says, can I be picked up by ICE even for winning my case of cancellation? ICE is picking up citizens. So I don't know what your underlying status is and stuff like that. Plus, I don't handle cancellation cases, so I don't want to advise on something I don't do daily. ID says, what do I do to get it for 10 years? If you're trying to stop your husband from being able to keep his green card, I don't advise on that kind of stuff. I only advise on people keeping green cards or getting green cards. Jelly Cups, thank you. That does make sense. How amazing that you're welcome, Jelly Cups. Appreciate that. Tana, you're welcome as well. All right, so I'll take one more question if anyone has any. If not, I'm Immigration Lord John Khosravi. I'll be back in next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's our regular time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take your questions about U.S. immigration law. And I guess with that, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.